The name's Marlowe. Philip Marlowe. I'm a licensed private investigator. You don't get rich in this racket. Sometimes you get beaten up or shot at or tossed in the jailhouse. Once in a while, you get dead. Every other month, you decide to give it up for some sensible occupation. Then the door buzzer rings, and there stands a new face with a new problem and a small piece of money. Come in, Trouble. What can I do for you?
Orrin was living in a very tough neighborhood, Mr. Marlowe. At least I thought it was tough. The manager of the rooming house is a most unpleasant person. He smelled of liquor. Do you drink, Mr. Marlowe?
Well, now that you mention it...
I don't think I'd care to employ a detective who uses liquor in any form. I don't even approve of tobacco.
Would it be all right if I peeled an orange?
You might at least talk like a gentleman.
Anybody ever tell you you're a cute little trick?
I should hope not.
Hope isn't exactly the word. Get yourself a pair of those slinky glasses with colored rims.
Dr. Zugsmith, my employer, wouldn't permit anything like that. Do you really think so? They don't sell any in Manhattan, Kansas, where I come from. But you said you drink, and you've been very rude, and if I hire you...
If you hire me, I'm the guy you hire. What's your name and trouble? Look, you come from Manhattan, Kansas. You work for Dr. Zugsmith, and you're looking for somebody named Orrin. I already have enough information about you to find out your whole family history. You don't look like the type who goes to see private detectives.
I know that. Orrin would be livid, and Mother, too. I just picked your name out of a phone book and...
What's your name?
My name's Orphan Quest. My father was a surgeon. He died 4 years ago. I live with my mother since my sister Layla and my brother Orrin left. Orrin was going to be a surgeon, too, but he changed to engineering after 2 years of medical. Then a year ago, he came out here to work for Cal Western in Bay City. It wasn't like Orrin not to write regularly, but the last letter was several months ago. Mother and I got worried, so it was my vacation and I took the train out to see him. I'd written to Orrin that I was coming, but I didn't get any answer. So all I could do was go down to where he lived. It's in Bay City, number 449 Idaho Street. It was a cheap rooming house. The manager was a horrid kind of man. He said Orrin had moved away a couple of weeks ago, and he didn't know where to, and he didn't care.
Go on.
Well, I called the place where he worked, the Cal Western Company, you know, and they said he'd been laid off like a lot of others, and that was all they knew. So I went to the post office and asked if Orrin had put in a change of address. They said no, so I began to get a little frightened. He might have had an accident or something.
Did it occur to you to go ask the police about that?
I wouldn't dare ask the police. Orrin would never forgive me. He's difficult enough in the best of times. Besides, our family's not the type of family
Well then, just what do you think might have happened?
I guess if I knew that, I wouldn't have come to see you. How much would you charge to find him?
$40 a day, plus expenses.
That's far too much. I couldn't possibly afford more than $20. I've got to buy my meals and my hotel.
What hotel are you staying at?
I'd rather not tell you if you don't mind.
Why?
I'd just rather not. I'm terribly afraid of Orrin's temper, and, well, I can always call you, can't I?
Let's see a photo of him. Tell me about Orrin.
He was 28 years old. He has light brown hair. He's very tall, over 6 feet. He used to wear a little blonde mustache, but Mother made him cut it off. She said...
Don't tell me. The minister needed it to stuff a cushion.
You can't talk like that about my mother.
There's a lot of things about you I don't know, but you can stop pretending to be an Easter lily. What about his habits? What does he do for fun, besides not smoking or drinking or going out with girls?
He studies a lot, and he has a very expensive camera he likes to snap people with when they don't know. Sometimes it makes them mad, but Orrin says people ought to see themselves as they really are.
Let's hope it never happens to him. What kind of camera is it?
One of those little cameras with a very fine lens. You can take snaps in almost any kind of light. A Leica.
All right, I'll take the case. But you ought to be able to guess what happened. He's in a strange city, he's made good money for a while. He's meeting a kind of people he never met before. So he just broke training and he doesn't want his family to know about it. He'll straighten out.
No, Orrin's not the type to do that, Mr. Marlowe.
Anyone is. Out here he's lonely. He's got dough. He's got himself all jammed up with some floozy and a bottle of hooch. After all, the guy's going on 29 years old, and if he wants to roll in the gutter, that's his business.
I hate to believe you, Mr. Marlowe. I'd hate for Mother...
Something was said about $20.
Do I have to pay you now?
That would be the custom. I'll give you a receipt.
I don't need a receipt, Mr. Marlowe.
I do. You won't give me your name and address, so I want something with your name on it.
What for?
To show I'm representing you. Call me anytime. Bristol Apartments, apartment 428.
I shan't be very likely to visit you.
I haven't asked you yet. So, I found myself employed, and for the unheard of sum of $20 a day. You could know Bay City a long time without knowing Idaho Street. And you could know a lot of Idaho Street without knowing number 449. The no vacancy sign had been there a long time. Beyond the screen door, I could see someone at the kitchen table. He was counting money. Hey, I need to see the manager.
Not in, Bub.
Who are you?
Wants it to you.
I want a room.
No vacancies, Bub. Can't you read the large print?
I happen to have different information.
Huh? Go fry your head in it.
Rent day?
You came in anyway.
Don't sit on the floor just to be chummy. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, pulling guns and knives on people that are just looking for a place to live.
Take the dough and beat it. We don't ever think we wouldn't catch up with you.
You take the dough and beat it. I'll put your gun in the mailbox when I leave.
Never mind about the heater. The town's full of old iron. But you could leave the shiv with Clausen. I've done quite a bit of work on it to get it into shape.
And with it?
Could be. Maybe we meet again someday soon. When I got a friend with me.
The room was full mostly of bad air and gin. But there was a reminiscence of marijuana smoke. The guy on the couch was breathing like an old Ford with a leaky head gasket. Sloppy drunks like this guy will tell you anything you want to know, if you don't push too hard.
Oh, who the hell are you?
You the manager? He nodded and nearly fell off the couch. I poured him a slug of his medicine, and he drank it with the beautiful anxiety of a mother welcoming a lost child.
It must be I'm kind of a little bit drunky.
You're not bad. You're still breathing.
What gives?
I'm looking for a man named Orrin P. Quest.
Huh? Move away.
When?
Give me a drink. I'm not happy.
This might help you concentrate.
Beat it. I got friends. A couple of boys take care of you. Now, let me talk to the doc. Vince, the doc. It's Lester B. Clausen, that's who it is. You just tell him to...
That was about all he could manage for the time being. The house was silent as I started up the stairs with Lester B. Clausen's passkey. I let myself in to room 214. It wasn't empty. I beg your pardon. The manager told me this room was vacant.
You can always try knocking.
Why would I? If the manager said the place was empty, he must have thought you already moved out. Okay if I look around?
There's a no vacancy sign on the house. So what makes you think if you come here, you'll find one?
A man named Orrin P. Quest told me about it. There was a look on his face that you might call watchful. But it was a watchful face to begin with.
You ain't getting nowhere with that breezy manner, Bub. What kind of dick are you, city?
Your grammar is almost as loose as your toupee.
Lay off my toupee. What's a beef?
No beef. I just wondered why you had the room.
I moved from room 215. This here's a better room, that's all. You satisfied?
So, you're Hicks.
How did you...
George W. Hicks. It's in the register, room 215. You said you moved from room 215. If I had a blackboard, I'd write it out for you.
Don't get tough with me.
What happens with people that get tough with you? You make them hold your toupee?
You lay off my toupee if you know what's good for you. What's your connection?
I gave him my card and told him I was looking for Orrin P. Quest. He asked why, but I didn't answer.
Okay, you don't have to answer. I'm a careful guy myself. That's why I'm moving out.
Maybe you don't like reefer smoke.
That and other things. That's why Quest left. He was a respectable guy, like me. I think a couple of hard boys threw a scare into him.
Why?
You just mentioned reefer smoke. Maybe he went to headquarters.
In Bay City? Why would he bother?
So, what kind of work do you do, mostly?
Anything that's reasonably honest.
Reasonably is a word you could stretch. So's honest.
You're so right. Let's get together some quiet afternoon and stretch them. I'd heard Hicks leave the room and walk around downstairs. I heard a car drive away, and I searched room 214 and 215, but found nothing that connected either of them to Orrin P. Quest. Above the silence, I heard a car driving off in the distance. Then something for the first time penetrated my mind. A drunk like Clausen ought to be snoring his head off. He wasn't making a sound. I did a nice, quiet 35 getting away from the neighborhood. On the edge of the city, I called the Bay City Police. I gave them the address of the late Mr. Lester V. Clausen. They asked why that was important. I told them the coroner would want to know, and hung up. Orphan May Quest was waiting for me when I got back to my office.
Did you find Orrin yet, Mr. Marlowe?
Not yet. I found out that the dump on Idaho Street is peddling reefers. That's marijuana cigarettes.
Why, how disgusting.
Orrin must have got wise and threatened to report it to the police, so they threw a scare into him.
Orrin just gets mean when people try to run him.
Okay, so they didn't try to scare him. Say they just cut off one of his legs and beat him over the head with it.
Are you trying to frighten me, Mr. Marlowe? I paid you $20 for a day's work. All you've done is find out that Orrin lived in a bad neighborhood. It doesn't seem to me you've done a day's work.
But the day isn't over yet. And don't bother about the $20. You can have it back if you like. I didn't even bruise it.
I didn't mean it like that. I know you're doing the best you can, Mr. Marlowe.
With the facts I have.
But I've told you all I know.
I don't think so. How often did Orrin write before he stopped?
Every week.
About what?
He wrote about his work and the plant, and sometimes about a show that he'd been to. Sometimes it was about church.
What did he do for fun?
He has this expensive camera.
And he stopped writing how long ago?
Well, about 3 or 4 months. But it was like I told you.
I know what you told me. Now I'll tell you what's wrong with this picture. What's wrong is you're not scared. And you ought to be scared as hell. I can't see myself waiting for my summer vacation to come around before I started asking questions. I can't see myself bypassing the police. I can't see your dear old mother sitting there in Manhattan. No letter from Orrin, no news, and all she does is take a long breath and mend up another pair of the minister's pants.
You're a horrid, disgusting man. Don't you dare say my mother and I weren't worried.
You were worried $20 worth, honey. But about what, I wouldn't know. Just put this hunk of folding back in your saddlebag and forget you ever met me.
I'm not very likely to forget your rudeness. Nobody in the world's ever talked to me the way you have.
Don't think about it too much. You might get to like it.
I suppose you think I did that on purpose.
Did what on purpose?
I'm sorry I was mean. I'll call you.
It hadn't been much of a kiss, but it looked like I had another crack at that $20. Dr. Vince Lagarde listed himself as a neurologist. Mr. Clausen tried to telephone you this morning. He was too drunk to talk properly.
But I don't know Mr. Clausen.
Well, that's all right then. Just wanted to make sure. Somebody stuck an ice pick into the back of his neck.
Has this been reported to the police?
Naturally. But it shouldn't bother you unless it was your ice pick.
And who is this speaking?
The name's Hicks. George W. Hicks.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hicks, but I don't know Mr. Clausen. Nor have I ever heard of him.
Well, that's fine. But somebody may want to know why he tried to telephone you. Unless I forget to pass that information along.
You, Marlowe? I need something kept in a safe. For that, I have a nice C-note right here in waiting. Room 332, Van Nuys Hotel. Not 2 quick ones, 2 slow ones. Hey, wait a minute. How's every little thing in Bay City, Marlowe?
The house dick had told me that Dr. G.W. Hambleton was registered in room 332. Nothing happened. I felt as if I'd spent my life knocking at doors in cheap hotels that nobody bothered to open. I decided to bring it back to the office. Another matchbook. I pocketed it. The bathroom was disturbed like the bedroom. Someone had been looking for something.
Don't turn around. Put your hands on the sink.
It was not the voice which had talked to me over the telephone. I didn't move.
Don't ever think I'm fooling. I'll give you exactly 3 seconds to do what I say.
Couldn't you make it a minute? I like looking at you. I didn't see a way out of getting the cops involved in this one, so I went to talk to the house dick. I had the feeling he hadn't seen a first-class ice pick job lately. Detectives French and Bayfus arrived. They took a few notes and then started to examine the body.
Punctured spinal cord, just below the occipital bulge, I'd say. Very vulnerable spot. Whoever did this was a performer. Got the spinal cord on the first try. And another thing, you have to have the guy quiet to do it. That means more than one killer. Unless he was doped or the killer was a friend of his.
I don't see how he could have been doped if he was the party that called me on the phone.
If. And since you didn't know the guy, according to you, there's always the faint possibility that you wouldn't know his voice? Or am I being too subtle?
I don't know. I haven't read your fan mail.
Don't waste it on him, French.
All right. The customer had something he was afraid to keep around. That means he knew somebody was after him and getting close. So he offers Marlowe $100 to keep it for him. It must have been something semi-legitimate, right, Marlowe?
You could leave out the semi.
So what he had was something that could be kept flat or rolled up. And we don't know whether it was found or not. Any chance to check his visitors?
You don't even have to pass the desk to get to the elevators. Maybe that's why he came here. That and the homey atmosphere.
Okay. Well, whoever knocked him off could come and go without any questions asked, and that's about all we know. Okay, Bayfus?
Not quite all. Without the toupee, Bayfus and French realized that Dr. Hambleton was really Mile Away Marsden, who used to be a runner for a gangster by the name of Ace DeVore. Movie stars are odd ducks. They build a whole career out of being recognizable behind any costume, in any situation, and then, after all that effort to make us remember them, they think they can hide behind a simple pair of dark glasses. The easiest way to find out whose number was written on the inside of the matchbook was to call them. So I did.
Steelgrave's residence, may I help you?
Is this Mr. Steelgrave?
No, sir, this is Wentworth, Mr. Steelgrave's butler. May I announce who's calling, sir?
My mistake. I must have dialed the wrong number. Sorry for the inconvenience. So, the telephone number belonged to a very rich party named Mr. Steelgrave. How did the phone number of a rich man get in the inside of a matchbook that belonged to a dead man with an ice pick in his neck? To get in to see Miss Weld, I'd lied and said I was sent by the studio. I was met at Mavis's apartment by Dolores Gonzalez. I recognized her and made the mandatory compliment on her last picture.
Are you quite sure you have the stills, amigo? They are usually a little too big to put in your pocket.
Her voice was cool. She looked almost as hard to get as a haircut. For Miss Weld personally. Sorry.
I told you she was taking a bath.
I'll wait.
I am most fully aware that you are a damned liar, and that you have no stills in your pockets. Perhaps you would like to help her. The bathroom is up there, through the arch and to the right. Most probably the door is not locked.
Not if it's that easy.
Oh, you like to do the difficult things in life. I must remember to be less approachable.
Don't bother, Miss Gonzalez. I'm just a guy who came here on business.
You may call me Dolores, if you wish.
So glad you two got acquainted.
It was the voice I'd heard at the hotel.
The name is Philip Marlowe. It's nice, don't you think?
I didn't know you bothered to ask them their names.
Such a charming way to insult a girl. At least I haven't been sleeping with any gunman lately.
Are you sure you can remember? Open the door, honey. This is the day we put the garbage out. On your way, Dreamboat. Make with the feet.
I came here on business, Miss Weld.
Out. I don't know you. I don't want to know you. And even if I did, this wouldn't be either the day or the hour.
Never the time and the place and the loved one all together.
What's that?
Browning. The poet, not the automatic. I feel sure you'd prefer the automatic.
Look, little man, do I have to call the manager to bounce you downstairs like a basketball?
If you're going to stand that close to me, maybe you better put some clothes on.
Did I hurt you? That's fine. I think you'd better kiss me.
Believe me, there's only one reason I don't. I might just happen to start working for you.
I'm free, white, and 21. I've seen all the approaches there are. I think I have. If I can't scare you, lick you, or seduce you, what the hell can I buy you with?
Well...
Oh, don't tell me. Money, of course.
Money would help.
How much money?
Oh, $100 would do to start with.
It's a cheap little bum, isn't it? Is $100 money in your circle, darling?
Make it 200. I could retire on that.
Still cheap. Every week, of course, in a nice, clean envelope.
You could skip the envelope. I'd only get it dirty.
And just what do I get for this, my charming little gumshoe?
You'd get a receipt. Who told you I was a gumshoe?
It must have been the smell.
I'm beginning to think you write your own dialogue. I've been wondering what was the matter with it.
And with that, I believe I must have used up my entire stock of girlish charm.
I never thought you killed him. But it would help to have some sort of a reason for not telling them you were there.
My goodness. Am I supposed to have killed somebody?
Look, you're going to find this hard to believe, but I came over here with the quaint idea that you might be a girl who needed some help. But you're not in any jam. You don't need me. You don't need anybody. You're so damn smart you could talk your way out of a safe deposit box. Okay, go ahead. Talk your way out. Just don't make me listen to it. She didn't move or breathe when I reached the door, nor when I opened it. I don't know why. The stuff wasn't that good.
Mr. Marlowe, no doubt. My name is Toad, Joseph P. Toad. It's a little late for a business call. I hope you don't mind. I trust you don't already have all the business you can handle, Mr. Marlowe.
Don't kid me. My nerves are frayed. Who's the junkie with the gun?
Oh, come along, Alfred, and stop acting girlish.
Where were you?
Mr. Toad and Alfred explained the purpose of their visit. Toad explained. Alfred twitched. They were here to offer me $500 to stop investigating. I asked if that meant they were connected to the blonde. Toad implied that I might know too much already and suggested that I talk to Sheridan Ballou, a Hollywood agent who handled Mavis Weld. When the phone started ringing, I let it ring. I had had enough for one day. Could have been the Queen of Sheba with her cellophane pajamas on. Instinct was stronger than weariness.
Oh, Mr. Marlowe, I've been trying to get you for the longest time. I'm so upset. I'm...
Later.
But I tell you, I have to see you.
Uh-huh.
You kissed me.
I've kissed better since.
I've heard from Orrin.
You're a nice little liar. Goodbye.
But I really have. He called me on the telephone right here where I'm staying.
Fine. Then you don't need a detective after all. I couldn't even find out where you were staying.
I wrote to him where I'd be staying.
Uh-huh. Only he didn't get the letter because he had moved and he didn't leave any forwarding address. Remember? Goodbye, Miss Quest. And you don't have to tell me where you're staying. I'm not working for you.
Very well, Mr. Marlowe. I'm ready to call the police now, but I don't think you'll like it.
Why?
Because there's murder in it, Mr. Marlowe. And murder is a very nasty word, don't you think?
Come on up. I'll wait. There were 2 murders she could be referring to, and I was involved in both. Obstruction of justice was the least of the crimes they could charge me with.
It's nice of you to wait for me.
Don't mention it. Do you want to talk about the murder?
I don't really know very much. Orrin called and he said that that horrible man, the manager at the rooming house, he was killed.
And your brother? How is he?
He said he was all right, but he wouldn't tell me where he was.
But he did get in touch with you, and he's all right. That's the important thing. I wouldn't worry if I were you, Miss Quest. He found out where you were staying. Even I couldn't do that.
No, Mr. Marlowe, there's something wrong. I can't say how I know, I just feel it. Orrin is stubborn. He'll never admit there's something he can't handle. You said yourself he could be in real trouble.
He must have had something important to tell you. What was it?
Orrin said he knew I was in California. He said I should go home. I asked him where he was, and he told me that horrible flop house.
Did you believe him?
I wasn't sure. I told him I knew where it was. That's when he told me to stay away from it, because of the murder, and because he wasn't really staying there.
All right. He didn't have a job. He might be out of money. Is there anyone out here he'd go to? Any relation or friend of the family?
No.
Stop hiding the truth. He could be staying with your sister, Layla, couldn't he? He's down on his luck. He needs a little help.
Orrin would never ask Layla for help. Never. We were never grand enough for her, Mr. Marlowe. And after she left, she never helped us, even though she could have. And really, she should have, but she never did. Please, Mr. Marlowe, you have to find him for me.
Since your brother already knows where you are, Miss Quest, you can give me your temporary address and telephone number now.
Oh, no. If I did that, I wouldn't get to come and see you in your office. And I like seeing you. I really do.
I told her I'd stay on the case, and she thanked me. Then she was gone. I had already chewed my way through the Los Angeles paper, which contained no item about Ice Picks or the Van Nuys or any other hotel. The Bay City News wasn't too busy to write up a murder, though. They put it on the first page, right next to the price of meat.
8 in large prints from your negative. It is Mr. Hicks, isn't it?
I went out and sat in my car and looked over the catch. The print showed a couple sitting in a booth in a restaurant. The tablecloth was covered with tiny figures of dancing couples. That made the restaurant the dancers. The girl was Mavis Weld. The man I didn't recognize. I figured it must have been a hidden camera trick. It wasn't too hard for me to guess who had taken the picture. Mr. Orrin P. Quest must have moved fast and smooth to get out of there with his face still on the front of his head. I was here to talk to Mr. Ballou about Mavis Weld.
The girl is a client of mine, of course. That fellow that's with her is the chap that owns the dancers, name of Steelgrave. All I see is two people having lunch in a public place on a certain date. Hardly disastrous to the reputation of my client. What were you thinking of asking?
You don't want to buy anything, Mr. Ballou. I could have had another negative made.
That's not much of a sales pitch for a blackmailer.
She's close to the big money. That picture would stop her cold if I were to show it to the Johns downtown.
Why would the police be interested?
I'd first have to connect it up with something that happened at the Van Nuys Hotel. I'd connect it up through Mavis Weld, who won't talk to me.
Yes, she warned me about you. Said a private detective named Marlowe had tried to force her to hire him, on the grounds that she was seen in a downtown hotel inconveniently close to where a murder was committed.
She also told you that if somebody didn't shut my mouth, she would be in a lot of trouble. So you sent over a couple of hard boys. It didn't work. The man who took that photo is missing and can't be found. He's probably dead. 2 other men who lived at the same address are dead. One of them is trying to peddle those pictures just before he got dead. She didn't get the delivery, and neither did the killer. They didn't know where to look.
And you did?
I was lucky. She wanted that picture. Getting it was worth an awful chance. Why? It's just 2 people having lunch on a certain day. The day Moe Stein was shot to death on Franklin Avenue. The day a character named Steelgrave, the man in that picture, was supposed to be in jail because the cops got a tip. He was a Cleveland Red Hot named Weepy Moyer.
What do you really want, Marlowe?
I left the office with a pass and the stage number Mavis Weld was working on. The Dream Factory. Miss Weld was at work on stage 17.
Somebody let you in here. Who? Why? That takes explaining.
She'd started right up where she'd left off. Well, I am here, Miss Weld. Ballou decided to hire me to investigate the attempted blackmailing of one of his clients.
I suppose I'm the one who's being blackmailed?
Miss Weld, you're an actress. To make this easier on both of us, why don't you just pretend that you're cooperating with me?
What good would that do? Come to my dressing room. It's more private. All right. We'll pretend I'm a defenseless blackmail victim and you're a competent detective.
You're not the defenseless type. You brought a gun with you to that hotel room.
Meaning what?
You'd get what you wanted from him, either by paying him or forcing him. Did you recognize his voice? The other times that he demanded money, was that by telephone?
No, I didn't recognize the voice. He'd never called before.
So you wouldn't have recognized his voice. But he convinced you he had something you wanted. He must have described it pretty well.
You mean that picture?
Take a good look at it. It's what you went to the hotel with a gun for. I found the receipt for that picture on the body of the dead man. You may even have found it on the body if you knew where to look. The man in the picture is Mr. Steelgrave, owner of the Dancers.
I know him.
It shows you having lunch with him while he was in jail.
That's not possible.
That's why it's dangerous. How much do you know about Steelgrave?
He owns things. A restaurant or two. He's nice. I like him.
Has he ever been in trouble?
Who hasn't?
With the police?
I don't know.
You knew enough to pay for this photo. I read your studio bio. Born in Maryland, only daughter of a retired judge, member of the Fox and Hound set, scandalized the family by going into show business. Any of that real?
I never even read it, let alone lived it.
So none of it's real, not even the scandal part?
Oh, sure. And if I don't eat soon, I'll faint on the set. That will start another scandal.
All right, I'll leave. She just sat there and looked at me. All I had to do was turn the knob and go on out. I don't know why it had to be so hard to do.
This time I really mean it. I lied before. I'm not lying now. I really have heard from Orrin. Please, this is very serious. He went to the post office and asked for his mail. He knew where I'd be staying and called me from Bay City. He's staying with a doctor he got to know down there. He's afraid to leave the house. Please go down there and see if you can help him. Orrin's in a lot of trouble. Some gangsters are after him. Please go down there and see him and help him. I'm not lying, Philip. They might kill him.
The doctor was in. He agreed to talk to me about the case.
I don't know anyone named Orrin Quest, Mr. Marlowe. I can't imagine any reason in the world why a person of that name would say he was in my house.
Hiding out.
From what?
From some guys that might want to stick an ice pick in the back of his neck.
It was you who sent the police here, wasn't it? It was you who called up and asked if I knew Clausen. I said I did not.
Yeah, I know you did. I didn't quite believe you.
The police have been here, Mr. Marlowe. A certain Lieutenant Maglashan. Shall I call him?
Go ahead, call him. We're a couple of sweethearts. We just sit here making with the over-the-desk dialogue. As though we didn't have a care in the world, because both of us are going to be in the clink by nightfall. You, because Clausen knew you by your first name, and you may have been the last man he talked to. Me, because I've been doing all the things a PI never gets away with. Hiding evidence, hiding information, finding bodies, and not coming in with my hat in my hand to these lovely, incorruptible Bay City cops. I'm through. There's a wild perfume in the air this afternoon. I don't seem to care. You knew Clausen. You could have known some of his rumors. Presumption. You knew Hicks or Orrin Quest or both. The L.A. cops couldn't or didn't establish identity of ex-Cleveland character. Call him Steelgrave. But somebody had to be able to, if that photo was worth killing people over. Did you ever practice medicine in Cleveland, Doctor?
Certainly not.
I checked up on your past. You'd have liked to change your name, but you couldn't and keep your license. Somebody had to mastermind this deal, Doctor. Clausen was a bum. Hicks a stupid lout. Orrin Quest a nasty-minded creep. But they could be used. You couldn't go up against Steelgrave directly. You wouldn't have stayed alive long enough to brush your teeth. You had to work through pawns.
Mr. Marlowe, you are an unmitigated idiot.
I felt a tightness in my chest. My mind had slowed to a turtle gallop. What's going on here? Been dumb, haven't I?
A little potassium hydrocyanide. Not fatal, not even dangerous. Merely relaxing.
My eyelids were as hard to lift as a dead elephant. How long had I been out? The room was just Dr. Lagarde's consulting room. Same floor, same desk, same walls, same letter opener shaped like a woman, but no Lagarde. The moment I was aware that steps were coming down the hall. His teeth clicked and I thought he was going to speak, or try to speak. But that was the only sound from him. He had stopped breathing. Something happened to his face, the smoothing out, the going back over the years to the age of innocence, all of which was very silly, because I knew damn well that Orrin Quest had not been that kind of boy.
Hello, amigo. I waited a long time. I could not reach you.
The accent's a bit thick this evening.
I'm not in an amusing mood tonight, amigo.
You don't have to amuse me. I amuse myself. You always wear black?
But yes. This is more exciting when I take my clothes off.
Do you ever think of anything but one thing?
This is how I catch fools, amigo. Some fools are useful and generous. Occasionally, one is dangerous.
I know who he is. I probably can't prove it. The cops couldn't.
They do not always prove all they can prove. I suppose you know he was in jail for 10 days last February?
Yes.
He was my boyfriend also.
Curious. Gotten tired of him. I don't imagine many men leave you because they want to.
Sometimes they do. And that should not matter. But it does, amigo. It does. I happen to be friendly with a certain Dr. Chalmers, who was county jail physician at the time that Steelgrave was in jail. And he told me, in an intimate moment, that he had given Steelgrave a pass to go to the dentist on the very day Stein was shot.
That's dangerous knowledge if you can prove it. Aren't you afraid to use it?
We would have to presume that we were clever enough not to get caught. I do not think that Mavis Weld would cause us any trouble.
I thought we were talking about Steelgrave.
Well, Steelgrave would be a dangerous target, but Mavis Weld would be easy. She's going to be a star. Soon she will have enough money to pay us anything we ask.
Why would she pay us?
Because fame and stardom are bought at a dear price. Mavis can have them only if she sells her privacy. And without privacy, she cannot continue her relationship with a known gangster.
You still need proof.
I obtained this from Mavis's dressing room. You threatened her with it, did you not? When I saw it, I realized you might need corroborative evidence that Steelgrave was indeed out of jail when it was taken. The police would investigate again, but it is not necessary that Steelgrave be convicted, only that he be implicated. The sensational story that Mavis Weld is a gangster's girlfriend would ruin her also very bright future.
Before you get carried away, I should put you straight. I didn't try to blackmail Miss Weld. I'm working for her.
So, a true friend of Miss Weld's. No, that is admirable. She may need one.
You don't have to tell me anything. I went down there. I just had a feeling, he being my brother and all. I rang the bell and nobody answered the door. That seemed funny. Maybe I'm a psychic or something. So I called the police. I lied. I told them I heard shots. You left him lying on the floor, dead. You had to, I guess. I don't care what they do to you. If they put you in prison, I think I would like that.
Hello? Philip Marlowe? This is Desk Sergeant Duggan. Detective French would like to speak to you.
Marlowe, we'd like to see you down at headquarters. Now, if you're in the mood, you could start at the beginning and give us all the stuff you left out yesterday. Don't try to sort it out, just let it flow natural.
And this statement is to be voluntary, without coercion?
Some guys are more voluntary than others.
This is Lieutenant Moses McGloshin of the Bay City Police Department.
He don't like you any better than we do.
So you're the sweetheart that phoned in about crossing. You're right handy with a payphone, ain't you, sweetheart? When I ask a question, I get answered. I'm talking to you, sweetheart.
What makes you Bay City cops so tough? You pickle your nuts in salt water or something?
I came down here to get some cooperation.
You'll get cooperation.
Just don't try to steal the scene with that 1930 dialogue.
Ask the questions. If you don't like the answers, you can book me. If you book me, I get to make a phone call.
If we book you. But we don't have to. We can ride the circuit with you. Strictly speaking, it wouldn't be legal, like you do a few things which you hadn't ought to do. Would you say you were legal in this picture?
No.
Ha! You got a client to protect?
Maybe.
You mean you did have a client? She ratted on you.
Name's Orpha Quest. It's time you talk to us, Marlowe, don't you think?
So let's have your ideas about all this, Marlowe.
Among other things, Clausen was probably pushing reefers. But he was liquored to a point where you wouldn't want to trust him anymore.
Suppose it was so. What's it got to do with Quest?
Suppose Quest tried to put the bite on somebody and threatened to go to the police. Quite possibly all 3 murders are connected with his reefer gang.
That don't jibe with Quest having the ice pick.
They might be standard equipment around Doc Lagarde's house. Got anything on him?
Not so far. What do you make of him?
He didn't kill me. Probably he didn't kill anybody. He used to practice in Cleveland. He must have had his reasons for hiding out in Bay City.
Probably an abortionist. I've had my eye on him for some time.
Which eye?
Probably the one he didn't have on Idaho Street.
You boys think you're so goddamn smart. Just the same, I like that reaper angle. It might cut down my work considerable. I'm looking into it right now.
If you were guessing, Barlow, what would you guess they were looking for in that room at the Van Nuys?
A claim check for a suitcase full of weed. When I talked to Hicks down in Bay City, he wasn't wearing his muff. But he was wearing it on the bed at the Van Nuys. Wouldn't be a bad place to stash a claim check.
Quite an idea. How came Dr. Lagarde to mention Cleveland to you?
I took the trouble to look him up. A doctor can't change his name if he wants to go on practicing. The ice pick makes you think of Weepy Moyer. Weepy Moyer operated in Cleveland. Sonny Moe Stein operated in Cleveland. And always, with these gangs, there's a doctor in the background.
Pretty loose connection.
Would I do myself any good if I tried to tighten it up?
Let's break this off. Go out and square things up. McGloshin brought you a rain check. Use it.
Would it be all right if I don't leave town?
Amigo, there is trouble. Bad trouble. Mavis wants to see you. She likes you. She thinks you are an honest man.
Why didn't Miss Weld call me herself?
Well, she couldn't. She did not have the number, and there seemed to be very little time. Are you bitter tonight, amigo?
I've got a few troubles. What kind of trouble is Miss Weld in?
I do not know. She just said it was trouble, and she was much afraid, and she needed you.
You ought to be able to think up a better story than that.
I would not hurt a hair on Mavis Weld's head. I do not quite expect that you would believe me, but she's at Steelgrave's mansion. Come now, I will meet you there.
Something stinks, Miss Gonzalez, and it isn't wild lilac.
I am being very foolish. He will kill me for this, just as he killed Stein. Kiss me.
Is he in there?
Yes.
Who else?
Nobody else, except Mavis. He will kill her, too.
Listen.
Kiss me again. I have not long to live, amigo. When you are the finger for a man like that, you die young. What a friend I would make if I pulled this trigger. With Stein, it did not matter. I would have killed him myself gladly, that filth. To die is not much. To kill is not much. But to entice people to their deaths. Mavis took him away from me, but I did not want to kill her. The world is full of men who have enough money.
He seems like a nice little guy.
Of course he does. That is why he is what he is. You think you are tough, amigo. You are a very soft peach compared with Steelgrave. He has killed 12 men with a smile for each one. I have known him for a long time. I knew him in Cleveland.
With ice picks?
If I give you the gun, will you kill him for me?
Would you believe me if I promised?
Yes.
I'd kill him if I had to.
Good night, amigo. I wear black because I am beautiful and wicked and lost. That is pretty good in there, no?
.32 caliber with a white bone grip. 2 less than a full load. It had been fired. Twice, perhaps. Orrin Quest had been shot twice. The 2 shells I picked up on the floor were .32 caliber, and before, in room 332 of the Hotel Van Nuys, a blonde girl with a towel in front of her face had pointed a .32 caliber automatic at me with a white bone grip. You can get too fancy about these things. You can also not get fancy enough. I didn't think the door would be unlocked for my convenience, so I prowled around until I found a door under the wooden steps to the service entrance. I could just make out some long, shadowed tables that told me the boys downtown had been right about that gambling rap. Tigers could be in the darkness watching me, or guys with large guns, or nothing and too much imagination in the wrong place. Hello? Anybody here needing a detective?
Hello yourself. I think you came too late.
Too late for what?
Too late to be shot.
I've been looking forward to it all evening. Miss Gonzalez brought me. Where's Steelgrave?
You ought to be glad wherever he is. He had to kill you. Or thought he had.
You wanted me here, didn't you? Were you that fond of him?
I must have been. Once. Yes, I liked him a lot. And in the end, I liked him with this. Try that chair by the window.
I went over there, walking in low gear. No blood moved in him, and very little had stained his jacket. The bullet had been fired by someone who knew where the heart was.
What did you expect me to do? He killed my brother.
Someone had to, and quick. How long have you known the photographs existed?
Weeks. Nearly 3 months. I got one in the mail a couple of days after...
After Stein was killed. Did you think Steelgrave had killed Stein?
No. Why should I?
What happened after you got the photo?
My brother Oren called me up and said he'd lost his job and was broke. He wanted money. He didn't say anything about the photo. He didn't have to. There was only one time it could have been taken.
Then what? More prints of the photo?
One every week. I showed them to him. He didn't like it. I didn't tell him about Oren. I suppose he must have found out.
But not where Oren was hiding out. When did you tell him?
I told him today. Please, don't ask me a lot of useless questions. There's nothing you can do.
All right.
He killed my brother.
It's going to take a lot of money to fix this.
I don't have a lot of money, so that's out.
That puts it up to me, then. All right, get going.
You can't get away with it.
You're my client, don't stall.
But I killed him. Why should you be dragged into it?
I can't hear a word you say. She seemed hardly to breathe. Then she turned abruptly and walked away. I waited for her to look back. Chateau Bercy? Dolores Gonzalez, please. When she answered, I could almost hear her breath catch. Not quite. She claimed that Steelgrave had tried to ditch the gun on her earlier that night. I told her to forget I had called and went back to Steelgrave. I took out the gun Dolores had given me and wiped it off, and put his limp hand around the butt, held it there and let go. That left me with 2 guns. There was a weapon in his holster that I took out and put it under a counter wrapped in a towel. The other white-handled automatic was left. I fired 2 shots that nicked peacefully into the wall. I couldn't tell whether the big muscle on the side of his neck had begun to set or not, but his skin was colder than it had been. There was not a hell of a lot of time to play around with.
Dead, wouldn't you say?
Fingerprints in all the right places, I hope. You here when he got it, Marlowe?
No. A girl I know called me this evening and said a client of mine was in danger up here. From him.
Someone with a name?
Dolores Gonzalez. Chateau Bercy apartment. On Franklin. She's in pictures.
Oh, who's your client? Same one?
No. This is another party altogether.
Have a name?
There has to be some agreement about publicity. The DA ought to be willing.
You don't know the DA good, Marlowe.
She hasn't any name.
There are a dozen ways we can find out, kid. Why go into this routine that makes it tough for all of us?
Damn it, this man killed Oren Quest. You take that gun downtown and check it against the bullets in Quest. Give me that much, at least.
I wouldn't give you the dirty end of a burnt match.
I won't lie to you, and I won't tell you anything except on the terms I stated.
Put the cuffs on him, Fred. Behind. He's under arrest.
10 hours and a pot of bitter black coffee later, and I felt like the box of shavings the cat had kittens in. The good Dr. Lagarde had disappeared, but they did find out that I had been right on the Cleveland angle. I hated it to be that tidy. Oren Quest wants to put the bite on Steelgrave, so he just by pure accident runs into the one guy in Bay City that can prove who Steelgrave was. But when that photo was taken, Stein hadn't been squibbed off. Somebody had to tell him. In any event, it seemed to be a dead issue. Clausen and Mile Away Marsden both had records. Oren Quest was dead, and the police weren't going to drag his family through the mud just to prove they could solve a case. They told me not to leave town, and I went back to the office. Somebody broke into my office and left a nice assortment of incriminating evidence. Someone is trying to frame me.
Mr. Philip Marlowe, this is Miss Hutchins of the District Attorney's Office. Your presence is required immediately in the DA's office in connection with the murder of Mr. Charles Steelgrave. The DA is expecting you.
You're in a bad spot, Marlowe. You've been caught suppressing evidence helpful to the solution of a murder. That is obstructing justice. You could go up for it.
What evidence?
Just a moment. Is that photo the evidence Mr. Marlowe was supposed to have suppressed? As Miss Weld's attorney, I'd like to point out that that photo isn't evidence of anything.
Mr. Farrell, I'll ask the questions. Miss Weld, are you prepared to take the stand and swear as to the time and place when this photograph was taken?
No, Mr. Endicott, I couldn't. I didn't know it was being taken.
All you have to do is look at it.
I've had lots of photos taken of me, Mr. Endicott, in a lot of different places and with a lot of different people.
Somebody shot Steelgrave to death last night. It could have been anybody. It could even have been Miss Weld. I'm sorry to say that, but it seems to be in the cards.
Well, let's assume a proceeding, one in which that photo is part of your evidence, if you can even get it in. But you can't. Miss Weld won't get it in for you. You'd have to connect it up with a witness who could swear as to where, how, and when it was taken. The only man who could connect it up is the man who took it. I understand he's dead.
This photo is clear evidence of itself that at a certain time and place Steelgrave was not in jail and therefore had no alibi for the killing of Stein.
It proves nothing whatsoever. And if that's the evidence Marlowe suppressed, then he didn't, in a legal sense, suppress evidence at all.
I wasn't thinking of trying Steelgrave for murder, but I am a little interested in who killed him.
Are you sure he was murdered? I understand 2 guns were found, both the property of Steelgrave. One of these guns had killed Quest and also Stein. The other had killed Steelgrave. Fired at close quarters, too. I admit those boys don't, as a rule, take that way out, but it could happen.
No doubt. Thanks for the suggestion. It happens to be wrong. Miss Weld, it is my duty to determine whether anyone should be brought to trial for any of these murders and to prosecute them. There is not much point in my asking you whether you shot Steelgrave, but I do ask you whether you have any knowledge that would point to who may have killed him.
Knowledge, not mere suspicion.
No.
Well, that will be all for now. Then, Miss Weld, Mr. Farrell, thanks for coming in.
Well, that seems to settle everything for now.
You're not exactly proud of the way you've handled things, are you, Marlowe?
I got off on the wrong foot.
I could make a lot of answers to that. They'd all sound about the same. Thanks for coming in.
It's me, Mr. Marlowe.
Orpha May Quest. She was right back where she started that first morning.
I'm going home.
Can you afford it? I can't remember whether I gave you back your $20 or not.
Oh, you gave it back to me. I wish you'd tell me what happened to Orrin. I'm all confused.
I told you. He probably went off the rails. I don't want to go psychological on you, but I figure he was just the type to go very completely haywire. Then there's that awful money hunger that runs in your family. All except one. There's just one question I want to ask you. Was your father married before?
Why, yes.
Layla had another mother. Tell me some more. After all, I did a lot of work for you for a very low fee of no dollars net.
You got paid, well paid, by Layla, and don't expect me to call her Mavis Weld.
Okay. How did Orrin find out something about Steelgrave that the cops didn't know?
I don't know. Could it have been that doctor?
Oh, sure. He and Orrin got to be friends somehow. Common interest in sharp tools, maybe. She looked at her handbag again. I was beginning to get curious about that bag. Why did Orrin call up night before last?
He was scared Dr. Lagarde wasn't pleased with him anymore. Something about the pictures. Somebody had taken them from him. Orrin didn't know who, but he was scared.
I had them. I still have.
I don't believe you.
I'd love to see some of those letters he wrote home. I bet they're meaty.
I could make you give the pictures to the police.
You could try. Tell me, who tipped off the police that Lagarde knew Clausen? You did. Why? Same reason you hired me, to smoke out your brother who was not cutting you in.
You're filthy, you're vile. How dare you say such things to me?
How much dough did you squeeze out of the deal?
You leave my bag alone. Oh, Layla gave me the money.
Layla didn't give you that money. Steelgrave gave it to you. Because you knew where Orrin was. Your own brother. You set him up so they could kill him.
Layla told him. Layla did it.
But she's not the blood money type. $1,000. I hope you're happy with it.
I could tell the police. I could tell them a lot of things. They'd believe me.
And I could tell them who shot Steelgrave. They might believe me.
Who's alive to prove it? You? Who are you? A cheap shyster, a nobody. Why? Even $20 buys you.
What do you expect? I don't have any brothers or sisters to sell out. She stopped dead, frozen in a kind of horror. The light glinted on her glasses. There were no eyes behind them, but I knew they were fixed on the little smoldering heap of prints in the ashtray.
Amigo, are you all right? Would you like to come and see me?
The play was over. The curtain was down and projected dimly. I could see the action. But already some of the actors were getting vague and unreal. The little sister above all, that fat little new $1,000 in her purse. A few people had been killed so she could get it, but I didn't think that would bother her for long.
Amigo.
4 hours sleep and a couple of drinks and I'd be able to talk nonsense to you again. Right now I've barely enough strength to talk sense.
But, jeez, amigo, whatever you wish, come in.
Where did you live in Cleveland?
Did I say I lived in Cleveland?
You said you knew him there.
I was married then, yes. What is the matter, amigo?
You got to know Steelgrave how?
It was just that in those days it was fun to know a gangster. One went to the places where they were said to go, and if one was lucky, perhaps some evening...
What about your husband, or don't you remember?
The streets of the world are paved with discarded husbands.
Isn't it the truth? You find them everywhere, even in Bay City. Might even be a graduate of the Sorbonne. Might even be mooning away in a measly small-town practice. That's a coincidence I'd like to eat. Eh, amigo? You don't use much Spanish, do you? The only thing Mexican about you is a few words and a careful way of talking. I'm in bad trouble downtown. Apparently Miss Weld had the good sense to tell her boss, and he came through. I don't think they think she shot Steelgrave, but they think I know who did.
And do you know, amigo?
I told Orphamay I did.
I was there, amigo. A little girl had been staying here with me. She wanted to see Steelgrave's house. She had never seen a gambling house, she said, so I called him up and he said, come along. When we got there, he put his arm around Orphamay and told her she had earned her money well. He said he had something for her. Then he took from his pocket a cloth of some kind and gave it to her. When she unwrapped it, there was a hole in the middle of it, and the hole was stained with blood. Little Orphamay took the cloth and then stared at him, and her face was very still. But then she thanked him and opened her bag to put the cloth in it. But instead, she took a gun out of her bag, turned around, and shot him dead with one shot.
You made her confess to Mavis Weld, and last night, when you rushed me out there, you already knew he was dead, and there wasn't anything to be afraid of at all. That act with that gun was just an act.
Mavis was determined to take the blame.
I chased her out. She told me she had shot him. She had the gun, the twin of the one you gave me.
I know very little about guns.
Sure. Quest was killed with 2 shots from a .32 automatic. Same caliber. I picked up the shells in the den down there.
Down where, amigo?
Of course, I couldn't know it was the same gun. But it seemed worth trying out. Only confused things up a little. So I switched guns on him. His was a black .38. He wouldn't carry a .32 automatic. And if he killed a man, he would kill him dead. This guy got up and walked a bit.
Which guy? I'm afraid I am not following you too well.
I'd like to say he talked a bit. But he didn't. His lungs were full of blood. He died at my feet, down there.
But down where? You have not told me where it was that this...
Do I have to? You were present when little Orphamay told him where to go. Only he didn't go. That's what's been the matter all along. Steelgrave was a reformed character and doing fine. When this Stein comes bothering him, wanting to cut in, he has to go. Steelgrave doesn't want to kill anybody, but he has to get rid of Stein, so he gets himself pinched. And he gets out of jail by bribing the jail doctor. And he kills Stein and goes back to jail at once, because the cops will come over and ask questions.
Very naturally, amigo.
But look at it this way. Why would he have lunch in a public place on the very day he was out of the cooler to knock Stein off? And if he did, why would young Quest happen around to snap that picture? Stein hadn't been killed yet. I like people to be lucky, but that's too lucky. Even if Steelgrave didn't know his picture had been taken, he knew who Quest was. He was Mavis Weld's boyfriend. He must have known something of this brother of hers, which simply adds up to the result that night of all nights, Steelgrave would not have shot Stein, even if he had planned to.
Now it is time for me to ask you, Who did?
Somebody who knew Stein and could get close to him. Somebody who already knew that photo had been taken, knew who Steelgrave was, knew that Mavis Weld was on the verge of becoming a big star, knew that her association with Steelgrave was dangerous. Somebody who had met Quest at Mavis Weld's apartment and had given him the works. Somebody who knew those bone-handled 32s were registered to Steelgrave, although he had only bought them to give to a couple of girls. Somebody
Stop! You will stop at once, please. I will not tolerate this another minute. You will go now.
Why did you kill Quest?
For 2 reasons, amigo. He was more than a little crazy, and in the end he would have killed me. And the other reason is that none of this, absolutely none of it, was for money. It was for love. No matter how many lovers a person may have, there is always one that you cannot bear to lose to another. Steelgrave was the one. That man I would not share. I killed him. And you cannot do a damn thing about all this, darling, unless you destroy Mavis Weld utterly.
Last night she proved that she was willing to destroy herself.
If she was not acting. That hurt, did it not? You are in love with her.
That would be kind of silly. I'd want more than that.
Querido, I have liked you very much. It is too bad.
As I walked down the hall, I didn't really expect a slug in the back. I thought she'd liked better having me the way I was, not being able to do a damn thing about it. She was one for the books, all right. Utterly beyond the moral laws of this or any world I could imagine. Call the police! They came fast, but not fast enough. When they cracked the door, Dr. Lagarde was sitting on the couch holding her pressed against his heart. He had bitten through his tongue. Perhaps I ought to have stopped him. Perhaps I had a hunch what he would do, and deliberately let him do it. Sometimes when I'm low, I try to reason it out, but it gets too damn complicated. The eyes of Miss Dolores Gonzalez were half open, and on her lips there was the dim ghost of a provocative smile. The Hippocrates smile, the ambulance intern said. I guess somebody lost a dream.